Well, this is the second installment of Prepper Potpourri's Ponderings. And these are things that may have to do with prepping and may have nothing to do with prepping, but it's something that caught my eye and I want to talk about it with you. But I read an article recently that concerned me, and it had to do with water. I live in Michigan. It's the two peninsula state. We have the upper peninsula and the lower peninsula, and we are surrounded on three sides by the Great Lakes. And once you go into the state, we have lakes and ponds and creeks and rivers. I mean, we are really blessed with a lot of water. So it's easy to take water kind of for granted. But out west, they're not so lucky. Anyway, let me read you a snippet from this article. It is entitled, "Who Keeps Buying California's Scarce Water? Saudi Arabia." And it was in The Guardian. 4 hours east of Los Angeles is a drought-stricken area of a drought-afflicted state, in a small town called Blythe, where alfalfa is king. More than half of the town's 94,000 acres are bushy blue-green fields growing the crop. Massive industrial storehouses line the southern end of the town, packed with thousands upon thousands of stacks of alfalfa bales, ready to be fed to dairy cows, but not cows in California's Central Valley or Montana's rangelands. Instead, the alfalfa will go to cows in Saudi Arabia. These storehouses belong to Ponderings Farms, a subsidiary of the Saudi Arabia-based company Al-Mareh, one of the largest food production companies in the world. Each month, Ponderings Farms loads the alfalfa on its hulking metal shipping containers, destined to arrive 24 hours later in a massive port stationed on the Red Sea just outside King Abdullah city in Saudi Arabia. Well, that made me think something. If out west we're experiencing droughts and water is precious, basically we're allowing a foreign company to come in and take our precious resource, because our water is now in the form of alfalfa, right? And it's exported out. And it isn't even necessarily money that U.S. farmers are growing the alfalfa and then exporting it out. This is from a foreign company. Should we allow that? Well, that's a complicated question. I don't blame Fondante, I'm probably not saying that right, farms at all. I mean, what they're doing is great business sense. In 2016, Saudi Arabia realized that, it's basically a desert, right? So water is a scarce resource, and they put up rules, and Ponderings Farms could no longer get the water they needed to support their 93,000 cows. So they went elsewhere. They went to Argentina, and in the United States, they went to Blythe, California. And in Blythe, let me give you just a little history. Thomas Blythe was a miner and in the 1800s, and he envisioned having this area be agricultural, even though it was a desert, right? He wanted to irrigate it, divert water from the Colorado River and bring it in there and grow crops. Well, in I think it was 1877, he was granted the water rights to this area. Now, let's go forward to today. Blythe cannot charge for using its water. All they can charge for is the overhead. So farmers that are growing alfalfa there basically get it for $77 an acre. And there are no incentives to try to conserve water. I mean, here where I live, generally the more water you use, the more you pay, right? Well, not here. You just have to pay that overhead cost per acre. So it made sense for the Arabian company to come up here and set up shop. Now, my understanding is they have been a great employer, and Blythe, I think they have a prison, but otherwise not a lot of industry. So I believe the company employs 100 people, and it gets 401k and health insurance, a lot of benefits. So people in the area are very glad that the company settled there. But we've got to look back at the fundamentals here. If water is a precious resource, should we allow another country to come in and take that resource basically for a song? Interestingly enough, alfalfa is one of the third exports of the United States. So whereas the rest of the United States exports only about 4% of the alfalfa it grows, out west it's about 15% of the alfalfa grown in the U.S. is exported to primarily Japan and China and Saudi Arabia. So this is business. This is probably big business. But we have to think, things have changed. Do we need to look at our water policies? I mean, back in the 1800s, the world was different. You didn't have these mega metropolises using up water and these huge golf courses using up water. And you didn't worry about climate change and many other factors. So do we need to look at our water rights? Because I'll let you know, living in Michigan where we have a lot of water, I worry that the western states will just use up their water and eventually keep going further east and trying to divert ours. And then we're going to get into states' rights as opposed to national rights. But if we do something about it now, we can make a change. So, should we be exporting our water in the form of alfalfa from western states? I don't know. Just one of my ponderings. So I'd love to hear what you think. Please comment below. As always, thank you very, very much for watching this video. Thumbs up if you like it. And as always, please subscribe and share the knowledge.